what would a $50,000 tax deduction do for me right now? If I want to start my own business, what would that do for me? Now, if you were going to say, so Kamala Harris has an interview with All the Smoke Podcast. And if you don't know who All the Smoke Podcast is, it's former NBA players Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson. Now, she goes on this podcast to do an interview because she's doing the rounds and trying to get more support from the males, especially the black male community. So she goes on this podcast. But she still gives the same dull answers on this podcast. So let's get to the clip. It's from All the Smoke Podcast. Fair use.
I love to cook. And it's a way for me to I think it's just for me, it's a great gift I can give the people I love. But it's also, it's like I start out, I know what I'm going to make, and then I'm done and I can give it to people. And it just gives me something to do that is a productive use of time, and I think people, choose hobbies, think about what it is that you like to do that takes your mind off of the stresses, that is also productive, right?
Economy, small business, black business. We actually just started our business in January. So we've grown from a show to a whole entire company. What is your economic plan moving forward for people who are living paycheck to paycheck and struggling for groceries and rent and homeowners? So
look, I grew up, so my sister and I were raised by our mother. We lived for a long time in an apartment on top of a child care center. That child care center was actually owned by a woman who lived 2 doors down from us, Mrs. Shelton, who was, by all of our accounts and feelings, our second mother. She helped raise.
Okay. Before we continue with this video, let me break down how I would answer this question. He asked a specific question. How would you help small business owners? First of all, I would have gave the first bullet point of what I would do. I would say starting the first 90 days of my administration, I would do bullet point number 1, bullet point number 2. Then I would give a little bit of history of why I would do this. Do I know people, blah, blah. Bullet point number 3, bullet point number 4, and that's it. See, what Kamala Harris tends to do is she tries to go on this whole long-winded soliloquy to try to get you to forget that you asked a question. And guys like Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson, they're former athletes. They're not journalists. They're not going to hit her with the hard-hitting questions. So it would seem like they're not even going to really care about what she says. But to the undecided voter, to the people who really want to hear what she has to say, they want to hear the answer. We don't want to hear about your family. We've heard about your family 1,000 times on these different shows, Oprah, MSNBC, CNN. We didn't heard about your family. We want to hear about your policies. And this is the issue that she's coming up with, because two things: either she doesn't know or she doesn't have a clear cut policy that she can go to. Let's continue.
It's us. And so she was a small business owner. So I'll start with the small business, and congratulations on what you guys have done. I, from a child, knew who our small business owners are, right? I mean, you're business leaders, but you're also civic leaders. You take seriously your voice and how you can mentor, how you can grow, right? Communities and the sense of communities. I love our small businesses. And so a lot of my work in terms of building and growing the economy has focused on small businesses. And my vision overall is we need to build an opportunity economy in which we increase opportunity for all, including small business owners. So a lot of my work, even in the Senate, was about increasing access to capital through our small businesses, and in particular through our community banks. Mm-hmm. So I've been responsible for billions of dollars more now going into our community banks, because they're in the community, and then they know who's in the community and where the talent is and who's doing good in the community, what the community wants. Mm-hmm. And so part of,
that's good. That's good that you have done that, and those some accomplishments that you can be proud of, Kamala. But this is the question: how would you make it so small businesses can succeed? What can you do for small businesses? This is the question. You keep on throwing this word salad out here, and you can see Steven Jackson like, Okay. It's going to be one of these interviews. Okay. But hey, let's see what else she has to say.
My plan as president is to give small businesses, startups, a tax deduction of $50,000 to start up. Because right now the tax deduction is $5,000.
Can't do nothing with that.
That's exactly right.
Mm-mm.
And see the thing.
Now, this is, before she continues, this is the issue that I have. If I'm a small business owner, what would a $50,000 tax deduction do for me right now? If I want to start my own business, what would that do for me? Now, if you were going to say, we're going to give a $50,000, let's say a, interest fee loan for $50,000, and you don't have to pay back on the loan for the first 5 years. We're going to give out, $50,000 for startup business and stuff like that. You don't have to start paying back the loan for about 5 years at 0% interest. People would jump on that. People would jump on that, but a tax deduction only works for businesses who are currently running. Now, if you have a business that has been going on for 2 or 3 years and you want a $50,000 tax deduction, it works. But for businesses that are starting up, the $50,000 tax deduction does not get your business off the ground. And also, if you wanted to do this particular tax deduction, you could have done this while you were the vice president. You could have went to Biden and said, hey, I got this idea. Let's go ahead and do it. Let's see what we can do. And it probably would have worked. But you're trying to push it now because you don't really have a lot. And this is what I don't get. Like, people don't understand. Like, people will get word salad and think that some people will buy it. Some people will buy it. I'm not gonna lie. Some people will buy it. I'm gonna be honest. Some people will buy it, but people like me, I'm not buying it. Let's continue.
Thing we know is that most of our small business, our entrepreneurs who want to start a small business, got a great idea, have incredible work ethic, but they weren't handed a bunch of money on a silver tray, right? And they just need to get their foot in the door. So there is that. There is what I need to do and what we need to do around making housing and rent more affordable. Part of the problem there is we have a housing supply shortage. My plan includes giving tax incentives for home builders to build 3 million more homes by the end of my first term, to increase supply to bring down cost, and to increase home ownership, a $25,000 down payment assistance to first-time home buyers. Because again, people just need to get their foot in the door.
They'll grind after that.
Right? That's exactly right.
They'll grind after that.
Now, the $25,000 first-time home buyers, that's cool. I mean, that's good. I mean, you want to get your foot in the door or whatever. But my question is where are you going to get this money from? Where are you going to get this actual money from? See, the thing is, you could come up with so many different ideas. You come up with so many different things that you want to do, but the first thing that I would ask is, okay, you want to do this $25,000 tax credit for first-time home buyers. Where is the money going to come from? We are not in a surplus. We are in a deficit. So, it sounds good on paper, but if you dig deep, how are you going to what's the word I'm looking for? How are you going to be able to afford this? Let's continue.
Exactly right. And we know home ownership, especially for the community, that's the fastest, most effective, and most sure ways to build intergenerational wealth. It's then when your child says, I want to go to an HBCU or some other college, and you say, well, honey, you don't have to take out a student loan. I'm going to take some equity out of the house. Or your child says, I want to start up a small business, and you can say, let me take some equity and help you.
First, what is that business? Let me make sure it's not no belt plan.
Well, but you know what I'm saying.
No, I get what you're saying. You have something to pull from.
Productive, right? You have something where it's about intergenerational wealth. Because see, here's how I feel about the economy and the economy I want to grow. We have, for over the last 4 years, reduced Black unemployment to the lowest it has been in decades. Okay, that is an accomplishment. However, I believe, need to measure our success not just only about everybody's working, but can you build wealth?
Mm-hmm. Can you start saving?
You know what the problem is? And I mean, and she started, I'm honestly with this one, she's starting to open up a little bit more. I'll give her credit, but this is the problem. You say that you reduced Black unemployment to the lowest it's been in 30 years. But this is the issue that I have with that. Okay, but what are those jobs? Are those jobs the type of jobs where you can, let's say you can be at a factory for 30 years and be able to provide for your family and things like that? Or is it those jobs that are minimum wage where you have to work 2 or 3 jobs just to get $60,000 a year? That's the problem that a lot of people are having. You know, what I would have said if I was in her shoes, I would say, you know what? We need to focus on job training, getting more people in stem cell research, getting more people into IT, getting more people into different fields so they could compete and get those high paying jobs. The problem with the Black community, and I'm going to be honest, the problem with the Black community is not that people don't want to work. The problem is people don't have the experience or people don't have the skills to work. This is why the blue collar jobs are so valuable now. The plumbers, the engineers, the electricians. Focus more on trying to fund those type of schools, focus on funding those type of institutions, and then you'll have more people to have more job skills and more job training to get the job done. But see, she's not saying that. The stuff that I said, if she would say stuff like this, people would buy it. But the word salad is the problem, man. This is the problem that she has. You're going around the Burberry bush and people are not buying it. Let's continue.
Can you start saving? Mm-hmm. Can you buy a home? Can you start saving to take your family on vacation from time to time? Mm-hmm. Can you save enough so that Christmas time for you and your children is not stressful, but something enjoyable, right? And so it's about, yes, we got to make sure that we have high employment, but also that we create opportunities for people to build wealth.
Get ahead.
Part of my plan is also to expand the child tax credit. $6,000 in the first year of your child's life.
Man, I could have used that one.
Because you know what that means. First year, that's such a critical stage of a child's development. And it's expensive. A family's got to buy it.
I understand it's expensive and it's a great idea, but where are you going to get the money from? This is the thing people need to understand. Where is she going to get the money from? And when you have ideas like this, like the $6,000 tax credit for kids, things like that, what ends up happening is you drain the money that you have in surplus and it becomes a deficit. And you know how you fix a deficit? You raise taxes.
A car seat, a crib, the things that...
The necessities.
Because I start from the perspective that the vast majority of parents want to raise their children well. They love their children, but don't necessarily have the resources they need. And if we understand that the children of a community are the children of the community, we'll understand that an investment in something like the first year of a child's life benefits all of us. Mm-hmm. But these are things about building what I call an opportunity economy, which is about helping people not just to get by, but to get ahead. Because most people, look, here, maybe you've gathered this already. Here's where I come from. Most people have ambition. They have aspirations. They have dreams. And they are willing to work hard. And if we give people the opportunity to actually meet those goals, they jump for it every time. Mm-hmm. But
yeah, man. I mean, you could look at Steven Jackson and you could tell that even he has a few questions about Kamala Harris. Now, I will say she did better on this interview that she's done on previous interviews. I'll give her that. And, you know, at the end of the day, it's still the same word salad. It's still the same stuff that she's been talking about. But the question is, will it resonate with those people who watch All the Smoke, those black male voters? Because All the Smoke podcasts, the majority of the people who watch them are black males. You have some white males and you have some females, but it's majority of all male audience. Will it resonate with them? You're going to have people who will buy what she's selling. And I don't have a problem with that. But this is the problem. This is the thing that they need to realize. If you buy what she's selling, don't come back 4 or 5 years from now when things are in shambles and say, why did I vote for her? I'm just being honest. Because a person who doesn't have a clear and legit plan, I can't vote for him. I can't vote for him. I mean, you know, it sounds good. The tax credits and all that sounds good. But I always look at the research. I'm like, okay, how are you going to pay for these things? That's the thing that people need to understand. How are you going to pay for these tax credits? How are you going to, you're going to say that first-time businesses get a $50,000 tax deduction, but that doesn't start a business. It helps a business that's currently running. But what about the people who don't have a business yet? You know, if you said, okay, if you were to say, you know, if the banks give a $50,000 loan, blah, 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 you know, we'll, you know, have an interest-free loan or whatever, stuff like that, that will work, like I said earlier. But hey, let me know what you think in the let me know what you think, man. Let me know what you think. Did she influence you to get your vote? And I'm going to leave a pinned comment to the actual full interview. They talk about different things from mental health and, you know, what's going on in the country, what's going on around the world, stuff like that. I'll leave a link to the full interview for your viewing pleasure. But it's your boy Jay here with another video. If you like the content, hit that like button. Also, hit the subscribe button on my road to 10,000 subscribers. And I also got another video where Ricky Smiley and Jamal Bryant talk about Kamala and the pandering continues right there. Until next time, folks, I'm out of here.